Tonight, we're diving into 3 real horror stories that happened under the cover of night. These are real, documented, witnessed, investigated, and in some cases, still unsolved. Story 1. The Villisca Axe Murder House. It was a summer evening, June 9, 1912, in a small, quiet town called Villisca, Iowa. The Moore family had just come home after attending a church service. Josiah Moore and his wife Sarah had taken their 4 children, Herman, Catherine, Boyd, and Paul, to a local Sunday school event. It was a good night. Nothing seemed out of place. The Moores were well known in town. They were a loving family. That evening, they had invited 2 little girls, Lena and Ina Stillinger, friends of their daughter Catherine, to spend the night at their home. There were 8 people in the house and all went to sleep by 9 p.m. And by 10 p.m., everyone was in deep sleep. But what they didn't know was that someone had already broken into the house. Not through a window, not by kicking in the door. The killer had snuck in earlier that day and hid in the attic. He waited, listening, while the family laughed, ate dinner, said their prayers, and finally went to sleep, after which he decided to come out. Armed with an axe, he first entered the master bedroom and struck Josiah and Sarah while they slept. He then moved to the children's room, killing each one after another. Then the guest room, where Lena and Ina were sleeping. No one woke up, no one screamed. The killer used so much force that some skulls were completely crushed. Here's where it gets even creepier. The killer stayed even though he had nothing against the family. He covered all the mirrors with cloth. He draped clothing over the victims' faces, and after that, he made himself some food, left a bowl of bloody water in the sink, and calmly walked away as if nothing happened. He didn't take anything. He didn't leave a message. And he was never caught. Over 100 years later, the case is still unsolved, but the house remains. People claim it's haunted and that it was not done by a human, but some other entity. Paranormal investigators have stayed overnight and reported hearing footsteps, whispers, doors creaking on their own. One visitor said she felt a tug on her blanket while she slept. Another heard the sound of children laughing upstairs when the house was completely empty. And the axe? It was found propped up against the wall in the guest room, right next to the bodies. Some places hold pain like a sponge, and in Villisca, that house never really let go of that pain of the victims. Story 2. The mysterious death of Elisa Lamb, early 2013. 21-year-old Elisa Lamb, a student from Canada, checked into the Cecil Hotel in downtown Los Angeles. She was traveling alone and taking a break after a hectic exam session and came to explore the States. The Cecil Hotel was no ordinary place. It had a dark history, decades of suicides, overdoses, even serial killers like Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker, had once stayed there. But Elisa didn't know any of that. At first, her stay seemed normal. She kept a blog, took pictures, posted updates on her socials, but a few days in, she stopped replying to messages of her friends and family as she vanished out of thin air. Her friends and family contacted the local police, and they got involved. They searched the hotel but found nothing. So they released the last known footage of her, taken by the elevator's security camera. And what people saw was disturbing. In the footage, Elisa looks scared. She's pressing multiple buttons, peeking outside the elevator, hiding. At one point, she steps out, looks both ways, then jumps back in like someone's chasing her. But no one is seen in the CCTV footage. She makes strange hand movements, as if she's talking to someone invisible. Then, she walks off screen. That's the last time she was ever seen alive. For 2 weeks, her disappearance remained a mystery, until hotel guests began complaining about the water, that it tasted weird and smelled bad. And the pressure was almost gone. Maintenance staff went to check the rooftop water tanks, and when they opened the lid, they found Elisa Lam's body floating inside. She was naked. Her clothes were found nearby. The autopsy said she drowned. No signs of drugs. No alcohol. But here's the terrifying part. Those water tanks were huge and heavy. Elisa would have had to climb the stairs, go through a locked door, trigger a security alarm, then lift the lid on her own. And yet, no alarms went off at noon. From the staff saw her, and no one else had any idea how she got there. The official explanation is that she had a mental health episode because of which she decided to take her own life, but still many weren't convinced. The behavior in the elevator, the strange coincidences, the timing, everything feels wrong. To this day, people debate what really happened. Some say it was foul play. Others think she was possessed. And the Cecil Hotel, it has since been rebranded, but the energy in that place never really left. Story 3. The Highgate Vampire. Now we go to London, to a place and story that looks like something out of a Dracula movie. Highgate Cemetery, this Victorian graveyard is full of crumbling tombs, twisted ivy, and statues with hollow eyes. It's spooky even in daylight. But in the 1970s, something much darker began to unfold. Locals began reporting strange sightings at night. All of them had the same description: a tall, dark figure with glowing red eyes. It would drift silently through the cemetery, and every morning the locals would find dead bodies of animals, blood drained, but their bodies were untouched. People began to whisper, "There's something in Highgate." 2 men stepped into the spotlight: David Farrant and Sean Manchester. Both claimed the cemetery was haunted by a real vampire. They decided to catch him and went on late-night hunts. Tried exorcisms. Even claimed to find open coffins and the scent of decay in places that hadn't been touched for decades. One night in March 1970, the hysteria exploded. Hundreds of people, locals, thrill-seekers, and journalists, scaled the Aishai cemetery gates and flooded the graveyard with flashlights and stakes in hand. It became known as the Highgate Vampire Hunt. They never caught anything. But the legend grew. Even now, ghost hunters claim to see shadow figures among the graves. Some say they've heard growling from empty tombs. Others feel cold spots, whispers, in the dark, or the sense of being watched. No one ever proved there was a vampire. But the fear was real. The sightings were real. And if you ever walk through Highgate at night, you might find yourself believing. 3 stories, 3 real events. Different places, different people. But one thing connects them all. They happened at night, when the world goes quiet, when most of us are asleep. And that wraps up tonight's stories. If you enjoyed this video, leave a comment, give it a like, and hit subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. Thanks for watching. And remember, don't watch alone.